It's amazing that we wake each day and walk upon this earth and play a part in this miracle of life. It's amazing that the world goes round and round and how the sun comes up to greet us each day on time. It's amazing that no matter what we do or feel or bring upon ourselves, the miracle stays alive. It's amazing that we hear it all, live and love, breathe and work and cry.
From the beginning of time, humans have looked to the sky collectively all across the planet and has gleaned information, and that's become what's evolved into the art of astrology. What we've been able to see with the naked eye in the sky has been basically the planets, Saturn and then inward toward the sun. And through this diagram, you can see, can you see my cursor? I'm not sure, but the sun is at the center of the solar system, and then Mercury and on out to Saturn is what we could see with the naked eye. And each of those planets came to represent basically parts of our human experience. So Mercury is our mind and our thinking and our communication. Venus is our need to connect to others, to our environment, to feel the connection of love to other people. Mars is our will, our human capacity to make a decision and take action and actually have an effect on this material plane of time and space, to be a power in this world through our ego's experience. And then Jupiter, after Mars, represents that sort of subliminal knowing through all these human experiences we've had over many lives, that there is something greater that we are aspiring to, that the illusion we live in of being in time and space and appearing to be separate from all else, being islands upon ourselves, that's the ego's experience. Yet down in our gut, down in our second chakra, Jupiter is telling us in the background that we're more than that, that there is something greater. And so Jupiter is the energy in us that wants to have experiences in life, to explore, to adventure, to gain more knowledge through experience and wisdom that brings us back to that awareness that of what we really are as spiritual divine beings connected to all others. And then Saturn after Jupiter is the part of us that remembers that we came into this dimension in order to do that. We committed our soul to conform to time and space and all the rules and regulations that it appears to present to us on the material plane that present limits and constriction and choices and accountability. And so Saturn is that part of us that commits as a soul to having the human experience, and thereby having to learn the lessons of how to bring our soul awareness, our soul light and love of what we are on a divine level into the material plane. The rest of the planets, Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, were unseen by the naked eye before a couple hundred years ago. We didn't even know they existed, yet they've always been there in play. And what I want to share with you this morning is what their role is in this design of our human experience. So to start with, I want to go to Chiron, which is actually an asteroid that was discovered in 1977 by astronomers, and they named it Chiron, even though they had nothing, they didn't know anything about astrology, these people, but they named it Chiron. And where it lies in the solar system is out between Saturn and Uranus, between the last seen planet and the first unseen planet. And its orbit actually dips inside of Saturn's orbit and outside of Uranus's orbit. And the significance of that is because Chiron in astrology has come to represent the wounded healer. In mythology, Chiron was this character that was wounded in life, but through his own healing, learned how to be a healer. And that's the theme of Chiron. It points to the most significant wounding patterns in our early childhood. And its purpose in the design of our life is to intervene in continuing past life karmic patterns that we would otherwise be stuck in. And because it's a wounding pattern, it hurts. It hurts to some extent. But in unconsciousness, as egos, as human personalities, for most of history, it's been necessary, really, pain is what gets our attention to cause us and motivate us to actually dig deeper and start to change our behaviors. But out of that, when we do heal, comes our capacity to reconnect to the holistic understanding of our lives and of reality. And as we heal, we actually become sources of transformation, transmutation, as Kimberly would say, in the world, because we are tapped into that holistic version of perspective that our soul is able to capture, where our ego is lost in the limited perspective of time and space. So when Chiron was discovered back in the 70s, you know, that's when the holistic healing movement started. If most of us are old enough to remember that, you know, there were gatherings, you know, a lot of alternative type people were starting to create these holistic healing gatherings because it became a movement right when Chiron was discovered. Okay? And this notion of mind, body, spirit, a holistic approach toward healing, toward life, really started to grab hold as a collective consciousness. Now, it's not that there weren't individuals prior to this time that were already onto this, but it's when Chiron was discovered that it became a collective consciousness that has grown since then and is become a large part of, in some ways, become part of the mainstream understanding of things. Chiron connects to our fourth chakra, the heart chakra. On the ego level, we experience our heart chakra through Venus. It's our need to connect, to love, see? And that's always been there. And it drives our longing through our heart to want to connect, to experience love. But it's a limited version of love that Venus draws us to. It's not the holistic, soulful version of love that is unconditional and connected to all others, the love that we already are, that we don't even have to seek out because that is of what we are, see? From the illusion, Venus draws us to experiences in connection with others where we get tastes, we get these tastes, and sometimes they're really juicy and we call it falling in love. Or it's with family where we have these deep, deep loves for each other. But even those are short of the fullness that we can experience on the divine level. Well, Chiron connects to our fourth chakra by cracking open our heart, often through pain, often through some sort of wounding experience in which we have to dig deep and start to reconnect to that interior resourcefulness to our soul to be able to heal and come back to wholeness and love. So it's in 1977 when Chiron was discovered that we started to really apply ourselves collectively to that principle of healing as a necessary component of our spiritual journeys. Now I'm going to go back further in time now. And Uranus, the first planet past Saturn, was discovered with the use of the telescope in 1781. And we now know it looks something like this. This is a shot from the Voyager satellite. Uranus came to represent in astrology the ego's bridge to our soul's truth, to divine truth. And so it's our intuitive mind, it's our mental intuition. And it awakens us in a way to the deeper truth that our human mind, which is represented by Mercury, our human mind through logic and reason can't always get to the truths that are necessary to help us and guide us in life, to keep us authentically on our track as the unique individual beings of divine being that we are. We come in with life plans. We come in with certain intentions to to experience parts of our human potential that add and contribute to our ego, or to our soul's consciousness as we continue to evolve as souls. And Uranus represents that bridge to our soul that allows our mind to can capture intuitively truths about our own unique lives, but also about concepts of reality that the logical mind tends not to get on its own, because our logical mind comes from the ego's experience of separation, of limit, of duality and polarity. And so a concept like knowing, for example, for myself, at some point in my life, I instantly knew that I am an eternal soul. In a flash, I transferred from being basically an atheist who really doubted all of that as reality to knowing that was true. And it wasn't through logic. My logical mind defied it, but I knew it instantly, and I've never doubted it since, because it is such a part of what I know, and I can't explain it. I can't prove it to anybody, but I know it. So that's the nature of Uranus in connecting us to our soul in terms of knowledge and wisdom. Our soul has such a storehouse of experience and wisdom that connects to way beyond what our ego is. So from that confidence, we tend to limit, we need freedom. We need freedom to follow our intuitions and express our uniqueness as unique souls. So when Uranus was discovered, it happened to be the time of the American Revolution, the French Revolution. This is when collectively humanity was claiming the right to basically follow our individuality, okay? I don't have to be told what to do. I'm a free agent, and I need the freedom to live my life authentically. That's the collective connection. And then this movement grew around the planet more and more for freedom to grow as a concept for humanity. Freedom of thought, freedom of beliefs. So Uranus connects to the first chakra. And it's, the first chakra on the ego level is connected to Saturn. It's, like I said, through that Saturn, it's our commitment of our soul to exist as in the material form. So I invite you each to, right now, to close your eyes, place your hand somewhere down near your first chakra, your root chakra, if that's comfortable for you. And just feel into that first chakra. And affirm, I'm going to say words, and feel free to take these words in. Through my first chakra, my intention is to stay anchored into this planet, anchored into this material world. I claim my right to exist here, to take up space, and to be a human being. I claim my right to survive, to create comfort and pleasure, and to have a life. I also stretch my awareness and invite my soul to keep me authentic. I ask, soul, please give me my truths about my life and about the meaning of life and reality. Give me the truths I need to know to stay authentic in my intention in this lifetime. I commit to my authenticity as a soul in this life. And now come back. So almost 100 years later, Neptune was discovered in 1846. That's a view of Neptune there, okay? And Neptune is our ego's bridge to divine love. Whereas Uranus is more the mental connection to our soul, Neptune is the feeling, the heartfelt connection to our soul, to the divine love that we really are, the unconditional love that we are immersed in this universe. But we are of it, and it comes through us, and we are it. It's through the Neptune part of our experience that we're able to capture the feelings of compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, tolerance. Our ego can't capture those feelings because from the ego's point of view, it's all about survival and competition for survival. So, and more importantly, from the ego's point of view, in the longing to reconnect to that divine love, we have experiences of love in our life, but when that love is threatened, we feel fear. When the love seems to go away, we feel grief. When the love is out of our control, we feel anger. And when the love is restored, we feel joy. Those are the ego's emotional experiences. But Neptune allows us, the Neptune part of us allows us to capture, even unconsciously, though for all of human history, we haven't been thinking of it this way, but it's always been there as part of our connection to our soul that allows us to feel that feeling level that comes from the reality of the unity, of the oneness that we are, and feel compassion and forgiveness. That isn't afraid of losing love because it already knows. We already know there's no losing love. So it's our intuitive heart. It's how we experience oneness and divine awareness. And it also feeds into our ability to be healers, to be visionaries, to be artists, okay? Because we're connecting to the whole ideal version of what we really are as frequency of love. And we're able to channel that in through our ego and personality in ways that contribute to our expression in the world. So, you know, it was right around the time that Neptune was discovered that the transcendentalists, you know, showed up, you know, Longfellow and people like him, who were starting to claim the basic right to be spiritual but not religious. When you go back far enough, that wasn't something people were allowed to do. You couldn't be spiritual but not religious. You know, that could threaten your life or at least your reputation. And it was after Neptune came into collective consciousness that this whole idea of, I don't need to be part of a religion. I don't need to be part of some organized, I have my direct experience of the divine myself. That's the Neptune consciousness. So Neptune connects to the second chakra. And the ego level, it's through Jupiter. In the second chakra is where we have that childlike, magical childlike experience of, now that I'm in the world, now that I'm committed to being here, I want to experience life. I want to adventure and explore. I want to have all sorts of human experiences that expand my awareness of coming back to the holistic, whole awareness of what I really am. Now, we don't think that in our heads on that Jupiter level. It's just subliminally built into us. It's sort of a subliminal memory that there is something more than what this world appears to be. And we want to grow back to that. So there's a yearning for experience and growth and more wisdom in our life. Neptune in our second chakra basically more directly brings us that holistic version of who we really are as divine love. So I invite you to go back in, place your attention, your hands, if that helps, on your second chakra down below your belly. And from there, I say these words. I feel the longing to be expanded, to expand my awareness, I yearn for adventures. I yearn to experience more of life. To wake up each morning, I want to take in what life has to offer and learn and grow and connect. And at this time, I stretch my awareness of who I really am as a soul. And I invite my soul to keep me feeling through my heart the one that I already am with everything I encounter, everyone I encounter. So even as I witness the pains, the suffering, the unpleasantness that comes from the illusion of separateness, even when I run into that in people and situations, I am able to hold that experience in the context of the oneness and unity of love that I am and everyone is, and feel the compassion toward the experiences that I'm having and others are having, knowing we are all whole already. Keep my heart open, soul. Keep me in the realm of compassion, even as I explore this world of illusion. And now come back. So in 1930, Pluto was discovered, right between the two world wars, just as the Depression started. There's Pluto there. Pluto is the ego's bridge to divine power. So in Uranus, we have mental knowing, wisdom. In Neptune, we have divine love, unity. And in Pluto, we have divine power. This is the connection to our soul's knowing that we are the agents of creation. We created our bodies. We played a part individually as souls and collectively with other beings to bring about the matching of the egg and the sperm that came together that in a unique way that needed to receive our divine spirit into that physical form. We played a part in that. We helped create that. And each day, minute by minute, we continue to create our bodies. That's our life force. That's our spirit as a creative force, creating the reality that we are, beginning with our own bodies, but also the choices we make in life, the reality we create around us, and collectively, the reality of this planet that we experience all together. That's who we are in spirit. We are agents of creation with the one true creator of all. Yet, for most of the time, we didn't know that. Most of us, most of the time. Pluto is the power of creation, and involved in creation is that transmutative energy of destruction and renewal, death and rebirth. See, it's all part of the process we experience in this dimension of time and space. In order to create the new, we have to destroy the present, okay? And that can seem like death. Sometimes that's our own physical presence, real death of the human body, okay? But more often it's more metaphorically the death of something in order to allow something new to be born. That's how we create, individually and collectively. So it collectively, there's a power of creation and that we have, but individually we also are empowered to create our lives. So Pluto was discovered during the beginning of the Great Depression, okay? And when you think about the Depression, it's in some ways it's similar to energy that's happening now, in that there's, in this pandemic, it's like so many things are being shut down. It feels like there's this change that's happening where we know there's certain versions of the collective reality that we created over time that are actually being destroyed. They're not going to survive this pandemic. But you also can see that there's new versions of how we can organize ourselves collectively on this planet through rules, regulations, policies, institutions, technology, and so forth, that allow a rebirth of how we organize our reality collectively. And individually, there's an opportunity to do the same for our own individual experiences and being on this planet, to let certain things die, let them go away. Because as we experience this, we realize there's a value we are valuing. Somebody was saying earlier before the meetings that you start to appreciate what's really important about the human experience and giving that more importance. And that informs us on what to let die and what to invest into giving rebirth. It was shortly after the discovery of Pluto that we also created the atom bomb. That's the power of Pluto. I mean, that's the ultimate sort of dark side of Pluto's energy that can come through when we aren't conscious, when our ego is unconscious of who we really are as the creators. Then we create things that are not aligned with the wholeness of what we are as loving beings on a divine level. So let's go in again. I invite you and put your attention on your third chakra, your solar plexus, just right down there below your rib cage. And from here, I say the words, I claim my power as an individual, as a human body and personality, to have a will, to make decisions, to take actions, to be a force in this world of transformation that makes change simply because I decide I want to do that. I can move my body. I can make things happen. I have that power as a human being. And I invite my soul to take charge of that power. I invite Creator through my soul to exercise divine will through my individual personality will. I align myself with that greater purpose, with that greater love, with that greater wisdom. I ask, Spirit, show me, tell me, guide me, use me. I surrender and submit my ego's will to the greater will that my soul is connected to. So now come back. And realize this is who we are. This is the power that we have to bring at this time. Astrologically, there are configurations of planets that are going on. I think it was brought to your attention in January by Arvel that Pluto and Saturn were just conjoined. And that's a big deal because Pluto, that power that we have to bring transmutative change and creation to this planet, was combining with the property of Saturn, which is how we order the collective reality. What is the reality consensus that we share that forms the institutions and the rules and the way we do life as a planet? And Pluto is inviting us to be more conscious of the power we are to transmute the way we are as a collective species on this planet. And it starts with our own individual lives as we make that commitment to ourselves and to the direction of our own life and staying connected to our soul's wisdom, to our soul's love, and our soul's power. these ideas excite me. And because when we think astrologically, we realize for all of human history, we were limited to the planet Saturn. And then these 3 other planets came in the last couple of centuries, and they're already taking hold of the collective consciousness. We're already seeing how collectively we're starting to tap in to consciously to what these planets represent. And what's next? Well, look at what astronomers are already discovering. Exploring our own galaxy, actually naming bodies out there in space that are particular. And then beyond our galaxy, here's a map of the galaxies around our galaxy. So our eyes are able to see so much more now what's happening on the material level of the universe we live in. And to me, the excitement is, what does that represent in terms of what's in store for our ability to bring that physical awareness into our consciousness of what's possible, of who we really are and what can really happen in our experience in this dimension. And with that, I'm done.